All right, Carolyn, you're up first. One small thing right off the bat is the file name was just a little off. It's not that big a deal, but I just like to know that you're following all the instructions. So just read through that again carefully. But moving on your photos, um, I really enjoyed your module. You had a lot of exploration and just I feel like really focused on the principles and were able to find them and compose them in this little square image. Some that really stood out to me was your movement. Um, a lot of people were taking pictures of an actual object moving, like in motion. But here, this design is moving you through the design. And obviously these stairs are stagnant. They're not in motion, but it's showing motion. I really like this visual pace that it leads you around. And also this here, these lines are leading you into this space here. And at the same time, they may be leading you out. It creates a lot of interest and movement. Here, I really liked your asymmetrical, maybe just these simple shapes that really caught my eye. And I felt like I could tell that you were thinking and really designing that in that space. Um, let's see. Yeah, obviously here, focal point is very strong. And again, I just felt like I could tell you put some time into these photos, so I appreciate that. Moving on to your professional examples, I really love this balance. It's not perfectly symmetrical, but it really, leads the eye back and forth. It has, a lot of interesting things going on. Scale and proportion, again, great example of these principles. And your ponder page was really nice to get to know you and just maybe push it a little more. I'd like to see the type go over here. And as you add more type, then you're able to play with, the location of some of these, the placement of the type, but we'll get into that later. Next up, Cheryl. Here's your photos. I saw that you were missing a couple, so I took points for that. And I kind of, one thing was, I felt like you did really good. Your linear and atmospheric perspective, I felt like could have switched places. Here I see a lot more linear perspective lines leading back into the horizon, showing that there's, depth there. Whereas this I feel like has a little more atmospheric perspective where things are lighter in the background and have more value and are stronger up front, and that shows depth. So I feel like those could have been switched. I felt like in your next page, I felt like you could have pushed these a little more, that you used the same elements a little too much. So, I guess what I'm saying is some of the pictures are just a little too similar. I would have liked to see you explore a little more with your photos. Your professional examples are really good. I remember when I was looking through, this one really stood out to me. Just really simple shapes and yeah, great balance, with the kind of big here, this kind of your focal point and maybe middle, and then the type offers another element of balance here. I like the scale and proportion, how they, are illustrating that in the foreground on a smaller screen, and then, in the background it's kind of cropped off. So good job. I think that's a really good exploration. It's really good to kind of fill your well by looking at professional design and seeing that and kind of continually feed that well. And I know that helped me a lot as I was beginning design to really look through books, look through, really good resources like these websites. Ponder page, I wish I could have seen a little more depth here. I'd like the text to go at least here. So maybe a little bit more, expound a little more. I know that's hard for me when I'm writing things. I like to just like one sentence. And then, as you get more familiar with moving things around, like I'd like to see a little more effort in the design part of this page. Typography and design typography is a huge part of graphic design, and so this title page, this title down here, I just really want to hit a couple spaces and stick it up here, and then this would flow a lot better. So you just watch for little things like that, not a big deal. Next is Georgia. Let's look at yours. I noticed too you're missing a couple images, and so I did take points off for that. Alignment. I guess I was a little confused on alignment on this one. And I know a lot of them overlap. Like this one has some great alignment, in the design, and I did like this that you're showing. I could tell you took some time or effort and really tried to create this principle with this rhythm and pattern, and also in this movement. It's a really good visual pace there. I like that you tried, playing with different objects and really trying to create some of these design principles, and some of them are tricky and some of them overlap. So I appreciate your exploration with that. Going on to the professional pictures, felt like you had really strong professional examples, and were able to really explain the principles. I guess one was the depth, and maybe it's just the crop of the image, but I wasn't exactly sure how that one depicted depth. I really like this balance, how simple that is, how how these are square, but this has the same visual weight as each one of these squares. Ponder page I thought was really good. Can't believe that you lived in the Bahamas and swam with sharks. That's pretty amazing. Like I've said with some others, I'd like to see, I guess, a little more text, and maybe no, it's pretty good how you have the text laid out. But just keep an eye on that as you add more text. If there's a title hanging down or one line over here, that's kind of like a big no-no in typography. But again, it is looking really good. Next up, Madison. Here, I felt bad that you were missing several photographs, and so I had to take points off for that. But some images that I felt were really good. I like the alignment, a really good design of these little alignments. I like that. Depth, I thought that you nailed each one of these really well. I love this linear perspective here, these strong lines, and the atmospheric perspective, really nice. You can see this stands out in the foreground because it has so much more color and contrast. And here you know that it's in the background because it is, it's covered with all that heavy atmosphere. So it is lighter in value and it's cooler in color. I like this movement you have here, that follows around these little, I guess they're dinosaur stickers. I guess at the same time, that could have been pushed a little more, like where is kind of the focal point, or, you know, how do I stop? It's kind of a little chaotic, but at the same time, I feel like that's a good depiction of, a little pace. Let's see here. I really like this. This is really striking, just how sharp and close up this is with the, shallow depth of field. So that's out of focus. So, this is in front and that's behind. Really good design element there. Focal point, I really like that. Obviously that's a visual hierarchy. I wish I could have seen, obviously, a couple more examples and explored those a little more. Here's your professional examples. I really like this design. It's very unified because all the elements are close together. Yet there's a lot of variety there. A lot of, repeated colors and patterns. And yeah, I think the other two are good examples as well. Yeah, I took a couple points off because I wanted to see more depth here, and also, this kind of outline title that should have been, pushed up here and just kind of play around, and again, you'll get more familiar and comfortable with typography and moving it around. Okay, let's go on to Michelle. I think you're the last one in this group. Let's see. I felt like you had really good designed photographs. I could tell that you put effort into this. Couple things before I start is the file naming. I'd like to go back and reread that. I know it's just a little thing, but I guess maybe it's just pet peeve. Follow directions. And also, I noticed that your images seem stretched and distorted. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them I can tell are distorted. And so it makes me think that maybe you didn't watch one of the videos, or there's several places we talked about that in InDesign, how to proportionally reduce the size of the image without stretching or distorting it. Having said that, though, I felt like your examples were really strong. How strong is this linear perspective? That's so sharp, and your atmospheric perspective I thought was really strong. This visual pace here with these strong lines, I felt like gave it enough variety, but I could just see this as a poster with some typography, and it's just good, some good solid design there. Here I really like this movement. You kind of have these objects, they're close enough together where they're unified, but it's also causing interest. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. Yeah, I really like that last buffalo picture. I made a note of that. And yeah, just watch the distortion. I can tell these photographs are all distorted. But I could tell you explored the design elements. I thought your professional examples were really strong. I loved your explanations. Really good job there. And Good job on your ponder page. Again, this right here kind of bothers me. That could have gone up a little